Hello, my name is Ben Jacobson. I am the digital marketing strategist here for Page One Power. And we're back with another episode of SEO from Home. And we have two special guests with us here today. We have Dave Conklin, who is the CEO of Conklin Media, and our very own Michael Johnson. He is a sales manager here at Page One Power. And today we're going to be talking about leveraging paid search data for SEO. It's going to be a really interesting topic, and we got a couple different approaches that we want to go over with you. So stay tuned. It's going to be super exciting. For those of you who haven't seen the series before, SEO from Home is basically a product that we put together that was just the ideas of wanting to keep the community connected while we're kind of in this strange work from home environment. So while we're doing that, we're talking with different SEO industry experts, and as you'll see from today, a little bit outside of SEO, to figure out how we can give you guys actionable information to improve your SEO on your site, as well as just your SEO knowledge in general. If you guys want to check out any of the previous episodes, those are going to be up on our website at pageonepower.com or on our YouTube channel, actually. So one last thing before we get started, here at Page One Power, we usually have a tradition of doing like an end of summer savings event, and we are doing that again this year. I just wanted to let you guys know about that real quick. We are doing 10% off for our 6-month campaign. So if you guys are wanting to take advantage of that, that's going on right now. So if you want to do that, head over to our website. That's available there too. So for our webinar today, we have a Q&A option available. So if you guys do have questions for either of our presenters today, feel free to pop those in the Q&A box at the bottom there. You'll see that little pop up at the bottom of your screen. Or if you want to talk about something else inside of the webinar, you can use that chat box. Mostly it's the Q&A box that most people use though. So also we are going to be live tweeting today. So if you guys want to participate there, be sure to tag at Page One Power and at Dave Conklin. Use hashtag SEO from Home. So as I mentioned before, we're going to be talking today about leveraging paid search data for SEO. We have with us here Dave Conklin. Dave, tell us a little bit more about what that means.
Sure. So first off, thank you, Ben. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate having me here. I'm super stoked about this topic, so hopefully it's really awesome. So years and years ago, and I'm talking early 2000s, late 90s, I was trying to rank for real estate related keywords in different search engines, and Google was not a huge player yet. But what happened was we weren't successful in that. And then when pay-per-click came out, we started buying these keywords. A couple years later, I'm frustrated because I want to rank and not pay the clicks for these, keyword phrases. And so I learned SEO from this guy, Aaron Wall. Aaron and I had this idea, but he really wanted to just rank my website for all these keyword phrases. And I'm like, well, no, I don't care about those keyword phrases because I have data that shows those don't convert. I want to go after the ones that actually are converting. And so it kind of created this route, so to speak, for how I view SEO. And I think SEO is amazing. I think it's probably still the best marketing tool available out there. However, I love to start it with paid search data to get conversions. So you're going after the right keywords. So that's the summary.
I love it. Yeah, and I think Michael will probably agree. We think that SEO is probably the most valuable marketing tool as well.
There you go. Very cool.
Cool. So tell us how exactly do you do that? How do you?
Sure. So I'm gonna share my screen so we have some visual reference. So I just want to confirm you're able to see everything but Stromboli. Okay, yeah, so yeah, so going back years and years, this is a company that sells about $20 million worth of memory cards today and flash drives. And when I met them, they sold exactly 0. So we have literally built this up to be an unbelievable success story. And we used the exact concept that I'm talking about today. So I'm going to actually kind of pull the curtain open a little bit. And I just want to show just for, that this did work. When you search a phrase like bulk memory cards, you'll see that they're in the top ad spot, but they're also #1 in SEO. Now on the bulk flash drives keyword, we are not spending any money on ads, but we're in the top spot from an SEO perspective. And there's a reason for that. So what we did with this company is we created web pages. So if I go to the organic listing here for their bulk memory cards, we created these category pages as we were going to want to rank them in SEO, in the organic spots in the search engines. And we created them exactly as they were going to be. And then we added content at the bottom to include the long tail, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. But we built these pages out, and then we went into SEMrush, which is our favorite tool personally. I think you guys love it as well. We use this in Ahrefs all the time for keywords. And what I did is some keyword research, which I think I want to say your last webinar was with a really great keyword research guy. Or it was one of the previous ones. So, using some of those strategies could be key here as well. But what we did here is we looked up the phrase drives, and we then filtered it to only show flash and USB. And the reason for that is we wanted to see people typing in wholesale, people typing in bulk, all these different things. So we looked at all these different keyword phrases that are here, and we exported them, and we bought the exact match in Google Ads. So, you go to ads.google.com. Basically, long story short, you can upload a list of keywords, create ads for those keywords, and then send them to the specific page you're trying to test. Now, in this case, I have flash and USB in here. What I would actually do, because we're using this USB page as an example, this one here, what I would actually do on this page is not include flash in here. I would just do the USB. So we export these keywords, we buy them all exact match, so that it's not, because if you do broad match or phrase match, it's going to pull up all these different variations of the keyword that you don't necessarily want. And you also want to remove anything that you don't want anyway. So like the word cheap, might be one or something like that. But here's what's magical about this. Inside of Google Ads, it will not only show you the keyword that created the click and sent it to your website, but it will show you if there are any additional factors. You'll be able to see their demographics, all this different data, because we've done a lot of paid search traffic before where at first glance, it looks like it doesn't work. It's like, this is a failing campaign. There's no way it's going to make any money. But when you remove, say, the 18 to 35 demographic, or you only market to men or only market to women, or you focus specifically on people that have an additional interest, all of a sudden your conversions are there. And Google will show you all those conversions. But the beautiful part about this is you spend this money not to necessarily make we call it ROAS in the paid search field, return on ad spend. You're not doing this effort to actually make a positive ROAS. You're doing it for R&D to see which keywords actually convert, because that's going to steer how you then build out the content on the page more and which keywords you focus on from an SEO angle. Because if you know the specific, like if we know that for whatever reason, the phrase USB drive Walmart, so somebody's looking to buy a USB on Walmart there, but if we find out that that keyword happens to convert at a much higher level when we're sending the paid traffic, we know for a fact that would be a valuable keyword to go after on the SEO side. So that's kind of the high level. Now, what was interesting here, I mentioned earlier that bulk flash drives, we are not continuing to run ads, but we are for bulk USB drives. The reason for that is during our testing with paid search in the beginning, we discovered that it's actually profitable for us to still continue with that paid search traffic because it's making a positive ROI. But bulk flash drives is a train wreck with paid search because we don't do all the fancy things that a lot of these folks do. So there's not like logos on the cards and all that. So we're just going after like Disney and Garmin and all these big companies that just want to buy the USBs in bulk without actually putting their logo on it. And bar none, bulkmemorycards.com has the cheapest drives, but they're just not logoed. So anyway, it's kind of a good, general overall case study. So this is the flash drives page. It was exactly the same kind of a situation. Now, and we've talked about this, and I'm actually a client, by the way, of these guys. And I love them. I think they're the best link building company out there. I'm not saying that because I'm on a webinar. We pick them for a reason. Now, one of the cool things they do is, and I'm sure that they're going to go into this in greater detail, but they'll actually build links into some resource content that would then link to these pages, which would then be, their rankings would increase and whatnot. So that's kind of a strategy that worked. This site, again, I mean, we're doing 20 million a year now on this website. And I would say probably 25% of that is from SEO. So it's just a really big success story. And we've even done redesigns on the site and things, and it stood the test of time, and the rankings continue to be there. So I thought it might be helpful as well. I don't know if there's any questions or comments about that section, but I want to actually show, like, if we were going into a random new situation that you might be able to relate to, if this is for your business or for a client, kind of how we would actually go about discovering, what we want to pay for traffic on.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm interested to see, like, what kind of numbers, specifically, like, how many different keywords are you actually buying ads on? Like, what kind of spend are you doing? I'm interested to see a lot of that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. So earlier today, literally today, in preparation for this, I just started doing some random research on some companies that are close to me, that aren't really doing a whole lot of paid search or, significant marketing. And this is obviously, no offense to Landis Roof Cleaning. I don't know who they are. Never met them. Literally just discovered this website today. Little outdated site. So this is a perfect type of an example, though, on how I would build a strategy to do this. So the first thing I would do is, and this is very similar to SEO, I would pull up their site inside of my tools like SEMrush, Ahrefs, SpyFu, different ones like that. And I would see if there's any low-hanging fruit. What I mean by that is, are there any keyword phrases that are not yet on page one, but they're really stinking close? So in this case, I happened to find roof cleaning Lancaster, PA. And I thought, okay, that's interesting because that's a buyer intent keyword, meaning somebody typing roof cleaning Lancaster, PA probably has a need to get the roof cleaned. So I thought, okay, let's investigate this roof cleaning world a little bit. Now, their current ranking is 42. So they're on page 5 of Google. So nobody's finding them right now under that keyword phrase. But we're just assuming that that's a buyer intent keyword phrase. Maybe it's not. So there's a couple steps that we go through. Number one, we always use SpyFu. Now, SpyFu has some light tools that are available for free. I think we pay like $50 a month or something like that for SpyFu. But I went to the keyword research section of SpyFu and looked at the most successful ads in their best, or advertisers in their best ads. Now, here's what's neat. You can see their approximate monthly budget. So when I did this, and then I also did the same thing inside of SEMrush's keyword ad history area. And you can find this stuff I don't want to go over a tutorial on how to get there necessarily, but if you guys feel that's important, feel free to have me go over it in a little bit. But I think most of the people on here are probably generally knowledgeable about this stuff. So on this particular page, notice there's localrooferquotes.com. In SpyFu, localrooferquotes.com. So I'm like, okay, you know what? They're spending about 70 grand a month. These guys know what the heck they're doing. So when we dig in a little bit more and we click on this website inside of SpyFu, I can actually see the specific keywords that they're buying. And in our case, we're looking at cleaning. So I'll type in the word clean and filter this out. And this is the greatest competitive intelligence tool for SEO ever, because what we get to see is, all right, so here's what they're running as their ad text. So if this fits logically into a good title tag and a meta description tag, we know that this is likely going to work because they're spending so much money to get that type of a keyword, and they're sending it to a specific page. Now, this is the page they're sending the traffic to, which is every SEO's nightmare, because how do you rank a page that has a giant, zip code box at the top? It can be really, really challenging. However, we've seen it done over and over and over and over again. And so what we would do in this case is we would advise Landis Roof Cleaning. You'd say, hey, let's create either a separate domain for you, or create a landing page on your site, something like that, that uses the visual psychology that this page has. It doesn't have to be a big giant box at the top, but let's build out a page where we would feel comfortable trying to rank the page. So, we know that there's not going to be a ton of bounces or, different factors like that. So using this same psychology, using the same general content, and things like that. If this doesn't fit with your model, by the way, when you're doing research, you just move on to someone else that does, or you use the ad psychology, because they're talking a lot about, you get 4 quotes. We might want to go the route of, hey, you get a free quote, something like that. But we know that free quotes are obviously working because they're spending the money to send people to this page. So the next thing we look at is we say, okay, so let's look for a second at localrooferquotes.com, and let's dig in a little bit to the positions that they're buying. So in this particular case, in this advertising research section of SEMrush, we can go through and actually see all of the keyword phrases that they're currently purchasing. And this is how we start building our list out. So I might type in the word clean here, and maybe I won't get a lot of results, and maybe I will. But you can see roof cleaning near me, roof cleaning services. So what I'm going to do is take these key head term phrases, and I'm going to take roof cleaning services, for example, and I'm going to throw that into this tool. And what it's going to do is it's going to show me a list of keywords, 372 long, that have, roof cleaning services. Now I might separate out the commercial, there's some logic that comes in that we don't have a whole lot of time to go over here. But when you dig through this tool, this is where the list starts. So what we'll often do is we'll look at the keyword CPCs. So in this case, you're talking, $6, $5, whatever. We're going to buy these keyword phrases. If it's a geographical focused company like this one, we're going to buy them specifically in that geographical radius, and we're going to upload them all. We're going to send them to the landing page that we create, and we're going to make sure all of our tracking is in place so that we know exactly which of those keywords are actually converting into phone calls and leads. And I will say this, there's a company, I'm not affiliated with them at all, I just love them. They're called CallRail. And I don't know if you guys, Ben and Mike, I don't know if you use a different call tracking service, or maybe not, or whatever, but this has been a godsend for us. It's super cheap. And what it does, it allows you to know if people call the phone number that's on that landing page you're sending the traffic to, it'll link it back to a keyword that they entered in. So that used to be lost information. We didn't know which keywords were actually turning into revenue, but with CallRail and some other tools, you can actually see that now. And in terms of spends, it's all based on the potential traffic. We love just starting out with, say, $100 and see what happens with that $100. And then we might increase it to 300 or to 500. But most of the times we've done this, we've been able to get an amazing amount of data for about $5,000. And generally speaking, you're going to end up making a little bit of money on that ad spend, as long as you're basing your landing page off of something that's already working. So if you're just sending it to the homepage of your website, don't expect this to work. You really need to take something that's out there that's working really well for somebody else and use that similar kind of a structure for your stuff. So the only other thing that I want to mention is, when you go, like that's taking those core keywords that somebody else is buying, what we went over in the other area. But when you use SEMrush, and you'll notice here there's 8,700 keyword phrases in here. When you click on that view all of the keywords button, one of the neat things that SEMrush came out with in the last couple of years was this section down here. And I love this because what I can do is, if I don't want to deal with the people who are typing in Florida, like a lot of these people are Florida, say I'm not in Florida, I can actually remove those directly from the list and only focus on like the gutter ones, the pressure ones. Because sometimes you'll look at a list like this and you'll go, oh my goodness, well, we want a specific landing page that talks about, chemical or commercial. We don't want to do those particular ones. So you might end up creating a couple of different landing pages and sending that traffic to those different spots. But in the end, you get a list of keywords that are going to convert. So when it's time to do your SEO strategy and get that traffic for free, you know which keyword phrases to go after.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
I love it. So when you're starting out, before you even begin starting your SEO strategy, are you doing this continually as you continue to refine your SEO strategy? Are you doing just one particular, one big run up front with paid, or is it something that you are running in conjunction continually?
So what we've learned is that once you do the initial, and I'll just pull up that example. What was that roofing company? Localrooferquotes.com. So once you do the initial buy and you kind of have an idea of what your keywords are going to be, and you include this, the important thing for us is we always make sure that all the unique words within those phrases that converted well are included within the content. It's not spamming it and creating weird lists of words and making things not make sense. We just take a very well-written article and then we try our best to add sentences and structures that include a lot of those keyword phrases. But once we do that initial launch, this is hilarious. You guys got to call them. They're ranking for 13 keywords organically. So I was hoping to get a little more than that. That is the same one, right? Local Roofer Quotes. Yeah. So they're spending almost $70,000 on paid right now and rank for a whopping 13 keyword phrases. So, but we're still going to use it. So as an
we have to pay out a finder's fee for that, Dave?
I should.
I was going to say, just cancel. Michael, you need to jump off. We need to.
Yeah. Michael's on it. Where'd he go? So no, but what happens is when we do that initial keyword research, we build out the content and we start link building. What happens is exactly what we're seeing here. So you'll have these keywords like roofing free quote. Okay. They're ranking on page 2 right now for that phrase. So that becomes the next low hanging fruit opportunity for us to go after. We love working on low hanging fruit, which we see as keywords that rank between position 5 and position 20. So when we're working with a company like yours to help us to increase rankings for our clients or our keywords, we're often giving those as the keywords we want to go after. Because we already know that they're going to convert well based on our initial research. Now, if I was going to go and say I'm going to invest, $7,000 a month on SEO over the next 6 months with a 10% discount, it sounds like for summer. If I was going to go and I was going to do that, I would absolutely, if it was on a new keyword phrase or a new geographical area or a new product, I would absolutely buy the keywords first. Just to know that the page is going to convert. Because what I've seen so many times, and this irritates the crap out of me, is that someone will have a landing page that they're going to send traffic to that they've never tested for conversions. They just want the keyword ranking. And now the keyword ranking is there and they start getting the traffic and they don't get any leads, sales, phone calls, nothing. They're not selling any product. And it's that just drives me insane. So I would rather spend a couple of grand on some paid traffic to test that keyword for the page, use something like Virtual Web Optimizer, VWO. Use a tool like that, or Google has different tools where you can send that paid traffic to like 3 different landing pages, and you can test where the conversions are going to be for each of those pages to find your best one. Because you got to work with your SEO company then to know specifically, you know, here's the page that we know converts. Now you go do your thing. But that SEO company has to be comfortable with that landing page and having it rank with its technical aspects and, you know, all that stuff as well. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, I totally. I mean, and I think, I mean, based on that, I mean, I'm sure Michael will have probably a little bit more to say about this, but I mean, having that tried and true research already ahead of time, like just going into it, is just so much of a helping hand. I mean, it really is just like an extra boost to where we can like hit the ground running. We already have like a good sense of direction. It's like, you know, comparing like someone giving you an old paper map versus like, here's a brand new Garmin, like here's,
right.
You know, it's just such a huge difference. So
yeah. And for those on the webinar that are selling SEO to executives, the executive gets a lot more excited about a keyword who they already have proven data that it creates ROI. And when they see that keyword go from page 5 to 4 to 3, they know that that means money when that sucker hits page 1, you know? So that's a really cool thing. And then again, if you're on the other side of it, where you are the business owner, you can feel super confident about that keyword as it's climbing. And then you're not frustrated every time you're stroking a check for $5,000 a month on SEO, because you know that it's going to lead, it's building a house. It's building equity in your site. So.
yeah. And it's just counting down the days until you get to that tipping point where you start hitting like your returns, and you start, you know, it's paying for itself because it's climbing and ranking. So
yep.
Perfect. Michael, tell us, if you were to be talking with a new client and they came to you and they already had this, how would that affect what you do as a sales manager?
Absolutely. We can walk through that. And this is really nice. Actually, one of the examples I have is this exact situation with a real life client that came to us saying, hey, we got this keyword that converts like crazy for us. We want to rank better for it. What do we need to do? And I was able to, because they had that information up front, was able to be like, okay, number 1, we got to fix some stuff for you. But number 2, here's how we can promote this page and help you be successful. So I'll get to that one in a minute. But yeah, let me share my screen real quick. I got some good thoughts on kind of, okay, you've used your paid search now to figure out what keywords are converting, how you want to go after those. Let's now help you to rank better and to be successful with that. So yeah, you know the keywords. Now what? That's what I got. So first and foremost, make sure that the page that you're targeting, that you understand the search intent behind the page, right? You know, a quick example of this would be, let's say you're this brand, MRPFD, they're an ABM platform. Let's say they find out that account-based marketing would help to drive a lot of conversions for them. And then they use this nice, you know, service page here on their website as the primary page. Though that's great. I'm sure the page will convert well. It pitches their brand really nice and gives you a lot of good information. The only problem with that is that they will probably never rank this page, regardless of links, on-page authority, etc. Because when we look at the pages that rank, it's all informational, educational articles. It's guides, it's long-form pieces of content. So one thing I'd always make sure that you're doing is as you do your research and as you're finding the keywords that convert well, also make sure that the page that you are creating to capture that traffic will align with the intent of search that we're seeing in organic search. So that's number 1. And kind of like I just said here, the reason why Google's doing this is because when Google sees somebody searching for account-based marketing, they assume that person is not looking for a service, but are instead wondering what is account-based marketing, or they want to learn more about the topic. So they're returning helpful resources associated with that. So number 1, make sure that you've got intent of search. Now, the other problem that Dave mentioned is sometimes linkability can be an issue. When you have pages that are very conversion focused, those are often the pages that are the hardest to get links to. So product pages, category pages, bottom of the funnel content. Not bloggers and webmasters are very savvy to that kind of stuff, and they will Likely strip links if you try to do a guest post opportunity. If you try to pitch to a resource page, they won't want to include it on their resource page because they don't want to feel like they're giving away free advertising. So, when you're picking pages to earn links with, always remember that sites don't link, people link. Think about the person behind the site that you're targeting, what their motivations are, what matters to them and to their audience. So your solution to that is internal linking. So one of the things that you'll want to do is create a, comprehensive content strategy, developing, informational, educational assets, and then internally linking those to your product page or category page, whatever that page might be. Now the question we always get is, does that actually work, right? Because the idea is, this is the page I want to rank. I know that if Google sees a lot of links pointing to a page, they're more likely to rank it. It will even work if I do this. The answer is yes. So the example that I have for you today is one of the most difficult projects that we could have taken on here at Page One Power. It was a client in the ED space, which, as you can imagine, trying to build links to a product page for ED is next to impossible. Nobody will want to link to that. So what we did instead, and this was the client that came to us, they said, hey, we've got these very specific keywords that are associated with this specific product in our industry that we know convert well. We just need to find a way to rank for it. So the first thing that I did was I looked at, okay, what pages are currently ranking for these keyword sets that you're searching? The first thing that I noticed was they didn't have enough content on their page to rank for that keyword. So we wrote up an outline for them of, hey, here's how you should be writing the content for this page so that you are addressing enough of the informational side of this piece, have this look like it's an authoritative page that Google can trust to rank for these keywords. So we helped them out with that. And then from there, we created a series of linkable content pieces that internally linked to their conversion page. And so while somebody might not be willing to link to a page about ED or ED treatment, they would be likely to link to a page about anxiety and managing stress and anxiety, which can be a cause for ED. They might also be willing to link to healthy aging tips, which when we talk about the audience that's interested in a lot of those products would be interested. So what we did was we found audience-specific content that would provide value to people on the web, and then use that as the way to attract those links. The results were pretty incredible. They actually left a review for us after the project. We were able to help them increase their revenue by over 5x in just 3 months by developing this, by building this strategy, and then 20x over 10 months. So they went from between $3,000 to $5,000 a month to over 20 by month 3. And then they were able to get over $60,000 a month in gross revenue after about 10 months into the campaign. You can see the traffic over here, just the impact that this had over a few months. I think we started right around here. So typically what we see is it takes about 3 to 4 months to really start to see that traffic in uptake. You can see month 3, traffic starts to go up, and then start months 4, 5, and 6 really starts to take off from there. So absolutely it works. Create great informational content, use internal linking. There's, when you can't get linked directly back to those pages, there are other ways to go about doing that and to link to things that people actually want to engage with. A couple of tips for the link building side, once you've created these linkable assets. This is from another presentation that I gave over the last year called Fantastic Links and Where to Find Them. But basically, figure out what criteria matter to you when you're looking at what kinds of sites you want to target. I always recommend a mixture of relevance, human value, and authority. So make sure that you're targeting sites that are relevant to your audience. Make sure that you're finding sites that have a real audience and there's real engagement happening so that you know your links are serving a purpose to the web outside of just trying to get link juice to your website. And then also look at some of the authority metrics to make sure that these are sites that carry weight. But don't get too hung up on domain authority. If you say, I only want sites that are DA 70 and above, you're gonna be missing out on a ton of really good links that are possess other good qualities like relevance. So definitely think about authority, but don't get too hung up on it. And then trust your gut. If you see a website, something looks fishy, maybe they're posting a lot of low quality content, you're seeing a lot of spam in their backlink profile, use your human eyes and your common sense to understand, if it's a good site or not. And then last, in a world without Google, would I still want this link? If this link's just existing for SEO and there's no other purpose that it serves on the web, and that's where you kind of maybe start to get a little bit more away from being truly white hat. So always think about the purpose that your link serves outside of SEO. Last, for your outreach, send sincere, personalized outreach. Just last week, I got 6 emails in 2 days that were the exact same email, the exact same subject line, body of the text. it was the most annoying thing I've ever seen. Personalized outreach, have a real person, either yourself or somebody in your company that you can trust doing the outreach so you know they're doing a quality job of it. Don't be too needy. If you start asking people for exact match anchor text and you want it above the fold, all that kind of stuff, that's going to feel disingenuous. Again, webmasters and bloggers are pretty savvy nowadays. So think about the human aspect behind your links and the person that you're working with. Like I said, don't just send boring templates out. Really try to find a way to connect with somebody. Next, what's in it for them? People don't just link out of the kindness of their hearts generally. Usually you need to have a reason for them to link to you. And that's where that content is so important, to have that linkable content on your website. Because if you don't have something on your website that's of value to people, then at that point, all that's left is money. And we don't want to be buying links if we're doing things truly, truly white hat. Get creative. Some websites have a phone number on them. Give them a call, right? There's a phone number, give them a call. That can be a real way to show that you're another person trying to build a relationship. And then last, just remember, sites don't link, people link. When you're building these relationships, treat them like a real human being, not just a robot that you're hoping to get a link from. So yeah, those are just some of my kind of high level tips there on what to do once you've created those pages, how you can promote those. As a summary, make sure your search intent is aligned with the keywords that you're targeting. You're creating the right page for the queries you're targeting. From there, build out linkable assets to support your target page so that you have other options to acquire backlinks. Internally link those to that page. And then from there, promote your content through organic outreach. You can use guest posting. You can use resource link building, competitor backlinking. There's a lot of different ways that you can do it. But again, have that real personal touch behind all the outreach that you're doing, and seek to build connections and provide value to the web with the links that you're building. So yeah, that's what I had for you.
Awesome. Well, cool. I love it. I mean, I think the combination of those two things together just really makes for like such a better experience. I mean, just having like a better idea of knowing where you should be digging will help you find gold a lot more often than not. I mean, I think all too often we feel like we're kind of going into it blind, and having some of that real world information as far as what things actually convert, not just what gets traffic, I think is massive. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I love with Dave's process. If all of our clients came to us with clear stuff like that, where this is what we want to target, this is why we want to target it, how can you help us do this, right? They come to us with an objective rather than directives. That's amazing stuff, and that stuff our team is always really, really successful with, because we can build out the strategy to help you accomplish your goal. So I love that. Yeah. It really dovetails well with what our team does here.
Yeah. Do we have time for one more quick tip? It's probably 60 seconds.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Okay. So the other thing too, that where you can kind of combine search. So Google and Facebook have retargeting pixels that can be installed on the sites. So once you have a site that's getting organic traffic, we've seen massive conversion increases when there's traffic that lands on the site and they leave, and then they're getting display ads while they're on Forbes.com or Fox News or CNN, whatever your flavor is. I'm scared to say those words now in today's environment. But the display ads that you can show to people, and then the ads you can show them on Facebook to bring them back, that's huge, because now you didn't have to pay for the click. So now that visitor that landed and bounced, you get to communicate with them, for months potentially, if you have it set up that way. And in Facebook, actually, and on, if you've ever been to Amazon, looked at a product, and that product follows you around the web, once that organic visitor hits, if they're looking at a specific product or a specific service that you offer, you can have ads tailored specifically to that product or service that kind of follow them around. And we've seen every single client that we've used that with has increased their conversion rates based on that. And the clicks are so cheap because it's somebody that's already been to your site. So you're such a relevant target, and the conversion rates are through the roof. So just another way to kind of on the flip side, rather than starting with paid and going to SEO, now, okay, you've done SEO, how can you continue the conversation with them, even if they don't fill out a lead form,
You can even bring that full circle and use that click-through data and conversion data to figure out, of those retargeted audiences, like inside of that subset, like how can you even like niche down even further? So
Yeah, absolutely.
you can
It's
just
real
keep
good
on
stuff.
going.
Love this
Awesome.
stuff.
Yeah. Well, awesome. I think we're going to call that good. We're just about 40 minutes in. I think that was fantastic. I think there's so much there that you can pull away from that. And just digging through that data, I mean, figuring out how much information is there that can be gleaned into like significantly higher conversion rates in, you know, in theory, and in practice with enough practice, I think is really exciting. So we're super excited to hear what you guys do, and tell us if you guys try this out and it works out for you. We'd love to kind of hear what your results are. Thank you guys again for joining us. Michael, Dave, thank you guys for hopping on. I know you guys have super busy schedules. I really appreciate you taking the time to go over all this information with us and sharing your tips and tricks. It was fantastic.
It's my honor to be here. Thank you both.
Appreciate you guys both. Well, definitely appreciate you guys as well tuning in. Join us next time. We are going to have this episode up, like I mentioned before, for viewing later. If you guys had to step away at any point, we try to have that up in about 24 to 48 hours on YouTube, as well as on our website, pageonepower.com. So thanks again. We will see you guys next time. Stay safe out there, and we will talk
Peace
to you
out.
later. See you guys.